My name is Emily, and at 35, I'm embracing the whirlwind of motherhood for the first time. Parenthood has been a wild mix of joy and exhaustion, but I've been fortunate to have my circle of incredible friends on my side. We've known each other since we were 13, growing up together through all of life's pivotal moments. Now, four of us are navigating the challenges and blessings of motherhood, while Sarah, our fifth, has taken a slightly different path. Though she doesn't have children of her own yet, she works at a daycare, honing her skills and knowledge about childcare. Our group has always been close. Jenna, the life of the party, is quick with a joke to lighten any mood. Mia is the thoughtful one, offering advice and a steady presence whenever needed. Then there's Liz, who somehow manages to juggle her career and family life with a grace that leaves us all in awe. Sarah's love for children shines through in everything she does, but sometimes her desire to prove her expertise can come off a bit too strong. On a bright Saturday afternoon, we all gathered at my house. It was meant to be a casual meet-up, just time to relax, catch up, and let the kids play. The living room buzzed with chatter and bursts of laughter as toys lay scattered about. My 5-week-old son napped peacefully in his rocker, oblivious to the lively scene around him. As the afternoon unfolded, the conversation naturally turned toward motherhood, parenting styles, tricks, and lessons learned. Sarah became particularly animated, eager to share insights from her daycare experience. "It's all about reading the baby's needs before they even start crying," she said, demonstrating a soothing rocking motion she swore by. Jenna, balancing her toddler on her hip, gave a playful nod. "Sounds like magic, Sarah. You'll have to show me that trick the next time Logan starts his evening fuss." Mia's soft voice chimed in. "It's great we can all share what works. Makes the journey a little easier, don't you think?" We all nodded in agreement, including Liz, who was carefully arranging a snack tray in the kitchen. As the sunlight dipped lower, casting a warm glow through the windows, our talk drifted from parenting to personal growth and the challenges we'd all face together. Moments like these always reminded me how unbreakable our bond felt. But just as the conversation flowed, my son's soft whimper broke through the hum of the room, signaling he was awake and hungry. Sarah immediately volunteered, "Let me take him, Emily. A change of scenery might do him good." Grateful for a brief break, I handed him over, watching as Sarah expertly bounced him on her hip. But it didn't take long for his fussing to turn into full-on crying. I knew that cry. It meant he was hungry. I stood up, ready to take him back. "Thanks, Sarah, but he needs to be fed," I said, reaching for him. To my surprise, Sarah sidestepped, a determined look flashing in her eyes. "He's just a bit cranky." "I've got this, Emily," she insisted. Jenna and Mia exchanged uneasy glances, sensing the tension in the air. I tried again, my voice firmer this time. "Please, Sarah, he's hungry. I need to feed him." But Sarah didn't budge. Instead, she cradled him closer, as if trying to prove a point. My anxiety spiked. This wasn't like Sarah. She'd never ignored my wishes, especially not when it came to my son. "Sarah," I said more forcefully, "give him to me." The room fell silent. Liz, frozen by the snack table, looked on with concern. Still, Sarah refused to hand him over, her voice rising slightly. "I work with babies all the time, Emily. I know what I'm doing. Just give me a minute." Frustration boiled over. "He doesn't need a minute, Sarah. He needs to eat now," I asserted, stepping closer. The air thickened with tension as Sarah tightened her hold, her back now turned to me. Her defiance caught me off guard, but my maternal instincts kicked in. Without hesitation, I stepped forward and firmly took my son from her arms. A soft gasp escaped Jenna as the suddenness of the move hung in the air. Cradling my crying son, I felt him relax instantly as he nestled into me. Turning to Sarah, I held her gaze, my voice steady and resolute. "You overstepped, Sarah. That was not okay. Never keep a child from their parent." A flush of embarrassment colored Sarah's face, though her defiance lingered. "I was just trying to help," she muttered, but Sarah's usual confidence wavered under the stern looks from Jenna, Mia, and Liz. Liz stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "We all see that you want to help, Sarah, but Emily knows her son best. We need to respect that." As I soothed my son and began to nurse him, the room settled into an uneasy silence. The warmth of the afternoon had fractured, leaving behind a chill of unresolved tension. Sarah's buoyant demeanor faded, weighed down by the collective disapproval. She whispered an apology, though it was unclear who it was directed to, and quietly withdrew to a corner of the room. Her isolation felt stark against the unity the rest of us shared in that uncomfortable moment. In the days that followed, the dust never truly settled. I replayed the incident over and over in my mind, Sarah's defensive words clashing with my lingering frustration. Determined not to let this rift widen, I reached out to her, hoping for a calm conversation to mend what had been broken. But my attempts at reconciliation were met with evasion. Sarah avoided direct contact, and when we finally did speak, it became clear she was still on the defensive. "I was only trying to help Emily. You're all acting like I did something terrible," she said, her tone a mix of hurt and accusation. "I know you were trying to help, Sarah," I replied, struggling to keep my voice even as frustration simmered beneath the surface. "But you have to understand, a mother knows her child. You should have handed him over when I asked." "You don't get it," Sarah interrupted, her voice rising with frustration. "I handle babies all the time at work. I know what I'm doing." The conversation spiraled, every attempt at a calm exchange crumbling under the weight of our mutual stubbornness. "Sarah, you didn't respect my role as his mother. That's what hurt me the most," I said, my voice thick with emotion. Instead of acknowledging the impact of her actions, Sarah fired back, "You're just ungrateful. I was helping, and this is the thanks I get." Her words stung, and I could feel the old bonds of friendship fray with each verbal jab. The tension between us escalated until I couldn't hold back anymore. "I can't have you around my son if you can't respect my wishes, Sarah," I declared, the finality of my words echoing the resolve in my heart. Sarah's face registered shock, then hardened into a mask of defiance. "Fine. If that's how you feel, maybe it's better if I stay away," she retorted, her voice cold. With that, she turned and walked away, leaving me standing in the wreckage of our once close friendship. The next few weeks blurred by, marked by strained group chats and awkward silences. Sarah began to distance herself not just from me, but from Jenna, Mia, and Liz as well. She built a wall around herself, and each of our attempts to reach out only seemed to reinforce it. As time dragged on, the rift between Sarah and the rest of us deepened, playing out most publicly and painfully on social media. One morning, as I scrolled through my feed, my heart sank. Sarah had started posting thinly veiled jabs at us. One post read, "Funny how some people think they know everything just because they're parents. The implication clear to all of us who knew the backstory." Each post added a layer of discomfort and dismay within our group. One afternoon, Jenna called me, her voice tight with frustration. "Have you seen Sarah's latest posts? It's getting out of hand, Emily. It feels like we're being publicly shamed just for protecting our kids." Mia and Liz echoed similar sentiments in our group chat. The situation was spiraling, pulling us into a public spectacle we never wanted. After much discussion, we came to a difficult decision. We agreed to block Sarah, not out of spite. We didn't block Sarah out of spite, but to shield ourselves from the ongoing negativity that had taken over her online persona. The decision to cut ties on social media wasn't easy. "It feels like we're officially closing the door on her," Liz lamented one evening. "But what choice do we have? She's not just crossing lines, she's obliterating them." "It's about more than just our feelings," Mia added. "We can't preach respect and boundaries to our kids and then let Sarah trample over ours." As the reality of our decision sank in, a sense of isolation crept into our group. Without Sarah, there was a palpable gap in our gatherings, her absence a constant reminder of what had happened. Yet that same isolation also brought us closer, forging a stronger bond. The ordeal had been harsh, but it clarified our values as friends and as parents. Our unity grew from shared pain, and with it, a deeper commitment to each other. Still, the fallout wasn't without internal struggles. There were nights I lay awake, questioning whether I could have handled things differently. Could I have been more understanding, less reactive? But every time, I returned to the same truth. The well-being of my child and the integrity of our boundaries as parents had to come first. Even though we had cut ties online, echoes of Sarah's actions lingered. Mutual friends occasionally mentioned her posts, each one a fresh sting. Over time, though, the posts lost their sting and the mentions grew less frequent. Slowly, life began to find a new rhythm. Our tight-knit quartet found solace in our renewed understanding and respect for one another. The ordeal had taught us a painful but vital lesson about the limits of friendship and the non-negotiable role of protecting our children. Several months later, fate intervened with a confrontation we hadn't anticipated. It was a crisp autumn day, and the local community center was hosting its annual fall festival. The event was alive with the sounds of families and laughter. By some twist of fate, our paths crossed with Sarah. As I walked through the crowd with Jenna, Mia, and Liz, our chatter halted when we spotted her standing alone near a craft booth. Time seemed to slow as we approached, the weight of the past heavy between us. Sarah looked different, more subdued, less assured than the friend we remembered. Her eyes met mine, and for a fleeting moment, I saw the glimmer of the old Sarah, the one who laughed with us and shared secrets over coffee. Emily, Sarah started, her voice hesitant. I've missed you all. Her words lingered in the air, thick with unspoken emotions. Jenna gave my hand a gentle squeeze, a silent show of support. I took a deep breath and addressed the unspoken tension between us. We've missed what we used to have too, Sarah. But you crossed a line that really hurt. The others nodded, their expressions filled with sadness, but also resolve. Mia stepped forward, her tone kind but firm. You were our friend, Sarah. But friendship has boundaries. When Emily needed you to respect her as a mother, you didn't. Sarah's eyes welled with tears, her shoulders sagging under the weight of her actions. I thought I was helping, she whispered. I didn't realize, I just didn't see it. I'm sorry, truly. Liz, always the peacemaker, softened slightly but held her ground. We appreciate your apology, Sarah, we really do, but things have changed. We had to protect our kids and our peace. There was a long, poignant pause, a moment of painful clarity as Sarah absorbed the finality of the situation. I hope you can all forgive me someday, even if things can't go back to how they were. Her words hung in the air, heavy with remorse and a flicker of hope. But we all knew the damage was too deep to overlook. As we parted ways, the festival's lively atmosphere resumed around us, a stark contrast to the quiet sadness we carried. Sarah walked away, a solitary figure in the crowd, beginning her own journey of reflection and growth. Back together, Jenna, Mia, Liz, and I shared a moment of silent solidarity. Our bond, though tested, had endured. We have faced a difficult chapter, but through it we learned a powerful lesson about mutual respect and the protective instincts that come with motherhood. What would you have done if you were in Emily's shoes? Would you have tried to mend the friendship, or would you have protected your peace like she did? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed the story. Subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Your support helps us continue bringing these stories to life. Hey everyone, I'm Carol Thompson, and being a single working mom is a ride you won't want to miss. Every day's a whirlwind. Take this morning, it's 5:30 a.m., my alarm's blaring, and I'm out of bed in a flash, stumbling around our cozy apartment in Chicago, trying not to wake my daughter, Emma. She's 7 and full of more energy than I can handle most days. Mommy, is it morning already? Her sleepy voice calls out. Rise and shine, sweetie. We've got a big day ahead. I'm hustling through the morning routine, making breakfast, packing lunches, and trying to make myself look somewhat presentable for work. Emma's sitting at the kitchen counter, swinging her legs and going on about a school project. And then we're gonna make a volcano that really erupts. Can we get the stuff this weekend? She asks, wide-eyed. Of course, honey. We'll make the best volcano your class has ever seen. I smile, but my mind's already at work, thinking about the big presentation I've got later. I nod and smile as best as I can. Mom guilt? Yeah, I've got a PhD in that. By 7:15, we're out the door, racing to catch the L train. I drop Emma off at school, giving her a quick kiss goodbye. Have a great day, sweetie. Grandma Evelyn will pick you up today, okay? Her face lights up. Yay, can we have ice cream? I bite my lip. We'll see what Grandma says. Remember, homework first. The train ride downtown is my rare moment of peace. I catch up on emails and prep for my meetings, though I can't help but imagine the lecture my ex-mother-in-law might have prepared for me about how working moms neglect their kids. By 8:55, I'm sprinting into the office, praying my boss, Diane, hasn't noticed I'm cutting it close again. Carol, just the person I wanted to see. Diane's voice echoes through the office. So much for sneaking in. Morning, Diane. What's up? I've got some news. Let's chat in my office. My stomach flips. Is this good news or bad news? With Diane, it's hard to tell. I glance at Jake, my work bestie, who shoots me a thumbs up. He's been covering for me more than I'd like to admit lately. So, Carol, Diane starts, leaning back in her chair. You've been doing some great work. That sports fuel campaign knocked it out of the park. Thanks, Diane. I'm glad it's been well received. More than well received. The client's thrilled. Which brings me to my next point. We're restructuring the team, and I think you'd be perfect to head up our new division. My jaw drops. Are you serious? Wow. It's a big step up. More responsibility, longer hours, but a significant pay bump. Take some time to think it over. We'll discuss details next week. I leave her office in a daze. A promotion? More money, but longer hours. How would that work with Emma? Jake corners me at the water cooler. Spill, what did Diane want? She offered me a promotion, head of the new division. Carol, that's amazing. We need to celebrate. Drinks after work? I shake my head. Can't. Gotta pick up Emma from my mother-in-law's. Jake's face falls a bit. Right? Single mom life. Rain check. Definitely. Later, I arrive at Evelyn's, where her face is a mask of disapproval. Carol, you're late again. Traffic was terrible. How's Emma? She's fine, no thanks to you, Evelyn says, her voice dripping with judgment. If you were home more. I cut her off. Thanks for watching her, Evelyn. Emma, honey, time to go. Emma comes bounding down the stairs, ice cream smeared across her face. Mommy, Grandma let me have 2 scoops. I force a smile. That's great, sweetie. Say thank you to Grandma. As we head to the car, my mind is racing. This promotion could change everything. A better apartment, maybe even a house, and the best schools for Emma. But would I have enough time for her? But at what cost? Little did I know, this dilemma was just the beginning of a storm about to turn my life upside down. I took a deep breath, stepped into Diane's office, and said, I'm in. Just like that, my life kicked into high gear, new title, new responsibilities, and a whole lot more stress. First order of business, finding someone to watch Emma after school. Enter Sarah, a bubbly college student with a schedule as flexible as a gymnast. So you'll pick her up at 3:30, help with homework, and start dinner? I asked, running through the checklist for the millionth time. Sarah nodded enthusiastically. Absolutely, Miss Thompson. Emma and I are going to have a blast. I should have known Evelyn wouldn't take this lying down. That weekend, she showed up at my door, her face like thunder. A stranger watching my granddaughter. Have you lost your mind, Carol? She's not a stranger, Evelyn. She's a responsible adult. A responsible adult who isn't family. Evelyn cut me off. I thought we agreed I'd take on more responsibility with Emma. I bit back my frustration. I appreciate your help. With my new position, I need consistent childcare. Sarah can provide that. Evelyn's eyes narrowed. Your new position. Of course, always putting your career first, aren't you? The jabs didn't stop there. Evelyn started popping up unannounced, always when Sarah was watching Emma. At work, things were just as tense. I was drowning in meetings and deadlines, barely keeping my head above water. You look like you could use this, Jake said, sliding a coffee across my desk. I grabbed it gratefully. You're a lifesaver. Jake perched on the edge of my desk. Seriously, Carol, are you okay? You've seemed stressed lately. I sighed, trying to play it off. Just adjusting to the new role. It's a lot. Jake nodded sympathetically. I get it. Hey, why don't we grab dinner this week? You look like you could use a break. I hesitated. I don't know, Jake, with Emma and everything. Come on, one night won't kill you. You deserve some adult conversation that doesn't revolve around marketing strategies. I laughed, feeling some tension ease from my shoulders. All right, you've twisted my arm. Little did I know, Melissa from accounting had overheard our exchange. By lunchtime, the office was buzzing with whispers about an affair between Jake and the new division head. As if I didn't have enough on my plate. Then, out of nowhere, Mark, Emma's father, decided to make an appearance. I was thinking I could take her for the weekend, he said over the phone, his voice unusually cheerful. I frowned. This is unexpected. What brought this on? Can't a father want to spend time with his daughter? Against my better judgment, I agreed. When Emma came back, She was bubbling with excitement. Daddy took me to the zoo, and Grandma made cookies, and we had a tea party. My heart sank as she rattled on about her perfect weekend with Mark and Evelyn. I tried to squash the jealousy rising in my chest. That sounds wonderful, sweetie. I'm glad you had fun. The final straw came on a Tuesday afternoon. I was in the middle of a presentation when my phone buzzed. It was Emma's school. Miss Thompson, we had a situation. Your mother-in-law tried to pick up Emma without authorization. My blood ran cold. Is Emma okay? She's fine but upset. Mrs. Winters insisted you were stuck at work and couldn't be reached. I closed my eyes, trying to keep my voice steady. I'll be right there. As I rushed out of the office, ignoring the curious stares, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a much bigger problem. Evelyn was playing a dangerous game, and I was terrified of what her next move might be. I stormed up to Evelyn's front door, my blood boiling. The second she opened it, I let loose. What the hell were you thinking, trying to take Emma from school? Evelyn's face hardened. Someone had to look out for that child's best interests. Her best interests? You mean your interests? Face it, Carol, you're an unfit mother. Always at work, leaving Emma with strangers. It's time someone stepped in. I felt like I'd been slapped. What? What are you talking about? Evelyn's eyes glittered with malice. Mark and I have been talking. We think it's time Emma had a stable home environment with her father. My world tilted. You can't be serious. Oh, I am, Evelyn said, her voice icy. And with my resources, don't think for a second you can stop us. I left Evelyn's house in a daze, my mind reeling. At home, I noticed Emma growing quieter, more withdrawn. One night, I found her crying in her room. Baby, what's wrong? Emma hiccoughed. Is it true? Are you going to send me away to school because of your job? My heart shattered. What? No. Who told you that? Grandma Evelyn said you might, 'cause you're always so busy. I pulled Emma close, fury and heartbreak warring inside me. Listen to me. I will never send you away. You are the most important thing in my life. Always. Just then, Mark stood up, looking uncomfortable. Carol, we need to talk. About what? I snapped, though I knew what was coming. He pulled out a stack of papers. I'm filing for full custody of Emma. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. You've got to be joking. You've barely been in her life for years. Evelyn jumped in. That's because you've pushed him away. Always too busy with your precious career to make time for Emma's father. That's rich coming from you, I snarled. You're the one poisoning Emma against me. You can't raise Emma to be a proper lady, Evelyn shot back. You're too busy trying to be a man in that corporate world of yours. I saw red. A proper lady? Is that what this is about? You want to mold Emma into some 1950s housewife fantasy. Mark looked confused. Mom, what is she talking about? Evelyn waved her hand dismissively. Oh, please, she's filling your head with nonsense. We're doing what's best for Emma. I took a deep breath, my hand inching towards my phone in my pocket, making sure the recording app was still running. No, Evelyn, you're doing what's best for you. You've always hated that I work, that I'm independent. This isn't about Emma at all, is it? It's about control. Evelyn's mask slipped for a moment, her eyes flashing with anger. You ungrateful little. I'm trying to save my granddaughter from turning out like you. Mark's eyes widened. Mom, what are you saying? As they left, with Evelyn shooting daggers at me, I sank onto the couch. My hands were shaking. But for the first time in months, I felt a glimmer of hope. The game had changed, and now I had the upper hand. The next day, I met Mark at a little cafe where we used to have our first dates. I slid my phone across the table. You need to hear this. As the recording played, Mark's face shifted through a rainbow of emotions. Shock, anger, disbelief. When it ended, he looked at me with new eyes. Carol, I had no idea. Mom told me you were neglectful, an unfit mother. Yeah, I got that memo. Mark ran a hand through his hair. God, I've been an idiot. I'm so sorry. It's not just me you need to apologize to, I said, thinking of Emma. He nodded, looking ashamed. You're right. I want to make this right. Weekend visits. No more using Emma as a pawn. For the first time in years, I felt like Mark and I were on the same team. Now came the hard part, dealing with Evelyn. I invited her over, my heart pounding as I laid down the law. You can see Emma, but only under supervised visits. No more undermining my parenting, no more manipulation. If you can't respect these boundaries, you won't see her at all. Evelyn's face turned an impressive shade of purple. You can't do this. I'm her grandmother. Watch me, I said, surprised by my own calm. Work became a joy again. My team launched a hugely successful campaign, and I felt on top of the world. At home, as I tucked Emma in that night, I couldn't help but reflect on how far we'd come. Mommy, Emma said sleepily, I'm glad you're my mom. That's the end of my story, everyone. Now I have a question for you. Do you think it's possible to be both a successful career woman and a good mother? Or are we always sacrificing one for the other? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your experiences and opinions matter and might help someone else who's struggling with this balance. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more like it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support means the world to me and helps me continue sharing these real-life experiences. Thanks for listening. Your father and mother are in critical condition. You need to cut your trip short and come home immediately, I pleaded desperately to Tyler. But Tyler's response was heartless. I'm on a trip with my colleagues. Handle it on your own. You're probably exaggerating anyway. I'm busy, so I'm going to hang up now. Later. Hold on a second. I tried to reach out to Tyler, but he hung up on me. 2 weeks later, Tyler came home without any remorse. I spoke up. Both their funerals are over. Tyler froze with a puzzled look on his face. What do you mean by both their funerals? Are you trying to play some sick joke on me? He asked frantically. It's not a joke. Didn't I call you 2 weeks ago to tell you that your father and mother were critically ill? I answered. But why so suddenly? Tyler was at a loss for words. My name is Jessica Atkins. I'm 56 years old and a full-time homemaker. I used to work in the administrative department of a major company. I left my job when I got married. I met my husband Tyler during college. When I became a college student, I joined the tennis club because a friend invited me. I had never played tennis before. I just wanted to have fun and make friends. But the reality was different. At that time, Tyler was the head of the tennis club. He was a strict guy aiming for national tournaments. For Tyler, it didn't matter whether you had experience or not. It was all about skill. Every day, Tyler would relentlessly serve the ball during practice. If you couldn't return it, he'd berate you. Being a novice, I couldn't even make contact with the ball using my racket. Tyler would scold me for it, saying, Jessica, are you kidding me? You're just in the way. Go pick up the balls or something, effectively kicking me off the tennis court. I felt so humiliated by Tyler's insults. I was always relegated to just picking up balls, barely ever holding a racket. Out of sheer frustration, I practiced my tennis swings and form even at home. Perhaps my hard work eventually paid off. One day, as usual, Tyler served the ball. But this time, I managed to powerfully return it. Tyler, seemingly expecting me to miss, stared in shock. But in the next moment, he exclaimed, Jessica, that was incredible, with the biggest smile on his face. It was in that instant that I unexpectedly fell head over heels for him. After that, Tyler continued to be strict, and I kept trying to keep up with his intense training regimen. One day, after some time had passed, we were out drinking with friends in our group. We had a get-together once a month to deepen our friendships outside of our group activities. On the way home from one of those gatherings, I happened to be alone with Tyler. Out of the blue, he confessed his feelings to me. I've fallen for you, Jessica. I want us to be together. I was taken aback. Tyler had never shown any signs of affection towards me. But I had feelings for him too. So I replied, I like you too. Let's give it a shot. That marked the beginning of our relationship. Tyler wanted to keep our relationship a secret from the club members so as not to affect team morale. Still, I was so in love with Tyler back then. I was just happy to be with him. We continued dating even after we both graduated from college, and we got married when I was 26. At Tyler's request, I left my job upon our marriage. I'll always be by Tyler's side from now on, I thought. Back then, I was head over heels, daydreaming about a dazzling future with Tyler. 30 years have passed since Tyler and I got married. In the early days, we went on frequent dates and were very close. But after 30 years, things had become somewhat routine. I stopped caring as much about my appearance as I used to. Back in my 20s, I wore trendy clothes and was pretty fashionable every time I went on a date with Tyler. I remember putting on a full face of makeup. But look at me now, so long as I'm dressed, I don't care much about coordinating outfits. I've grown to love loose skirts with stretchy elastic waists more than those with zippers. Now that I'm a stay-at-home wife, I rarely see other people, so I go barefaced from morning till night. I can't even recall the last time I wore makeup. Some might think I've let myself go. Compared to my 20s, my body has changed quite a bit. I was fairly slim back then, but not anymore. I've put on weight and now resemble the before pictures you see on weight loss shows. Maybe this change in appearance is one of the reasons our relationship has become routine. Gradually, I feel like Tyler's view of me has shifted from wife to mom, even though I'm not his mother. He occasionally jokes, "Mom, can I have another coffee?" By the way, my mother-in-law is still around and lives in an apartment about a 10-minute walk from our house with my father-in-law, so we live close by but separately. My in-laws are wonderful people and always show concern for me. Because they are so caring, I wanted to be there for them, so I visited them often. But lately, my in-laws' health has been declining. My father-in-law has been battling a serious illness, and the doctors say there's not much more they can do. Tearfully, my father-in-law told my mother-in-law and me, "I want to spend my last days at home." So he was discharged from the hospital and is now receiving palliative care at home. Looking after my father-in-law on her own, my mother-in-law seems exhausted and her expression has darkened. Being a stay-at-home wife, I help with my father-in-law's care almost every day, but living with him must be tough for my mother-in-law. "It's hard, Jessica. Just for one night, could you stay with us?" she asked with a vulnerable expression. "I'm sorry, Tyler comes home at night," I said. It hurt, but I had to turn my mother-in-law down. "I see," my mother-in-law murmured with a look of despair. "Every night I have to take care of Tyler. Tyler is quite the dominant husband and doesn't lift a finger to help around the house. He just throws his dirty socks anywhere. Of course, dinner has to be ready and warm by the time Tyler gets home. Leftovers are absolutely out of the question. If he finds out, there's no telling how much he'll lash out. Once, I couldn't get home in time for Tyler's return because I was taking care of my father-in-law. The moment I got home, Tyler, with a face as red as a beet, yelled at me, "You should prioritize me over my dad. I'm your family, remember?" I wanted to point out that my father-in-law is also his family, but I kept quiet because if I had argued, Tyler would have just shouted even louder. Because of things like this, I always have to prioritize Tyler. Every day feels so constricted. Being a stay-at-home wife, I feel guilty and can't stand up to Tyler. I couldn't help my downcast mother-in-law and could only look at her with concern. Lately, Tyler's been coming home late a lot and never lets me know. Sometimes, he even comes home on the last train. Today too, Tyler got home past midnight. "I'm back," Tyler greeted me cheerfully. His face was red and he seemed a bit tipsy. "Did you go out drinking again? You've been coming home late a lot lately," I said, holding the bag Tyler handed me. "It's my money, and I'll spend it however I want. You're just a stay-at-home wife, so you should just obey me," Tyler retorted gruffly. "But don't you think it's too frequent? Who are you going out with every time? Their families might be worried too," I hesitantly asked Tyler. Maybe Tyler's been forcing people to go drinking with him. Tyler's been with the company for a long time and holds a position of authority. It's hard for most to say no to someone like that. Tyler then replied with a smug smile, "It's all good. I just always drink with the same coworker. Plus, Val lives alone and is single. He's always happy when I buy him a drink," Tyler said smugly. I couldn't say anything back. Being a stay-at-home wife without much say matters. Then I had an idea and decided to talk to Tyler about it. "Could you let me know in advance when you're going to go out for drinks? Your mom seems really stressed out, and your dad's condition isn't great either. I'd like to be there for them as much as possible." But Tyler laughed off my concerns. "No can do. When I go out depends on my mood. Besides, mom will handle dad's situation. Jessica, you should be all in for me." As I was taken aback by Tyler's harsh words, he said, instead of standing there, "Get the bath ready. You're so slow with that." He quickly headed to the bathroom. Yes, I'm sorry. All I could do was respond like that. Then one day, Tyler suddenly told me, "I'm going to go on a trip for 2 weeks from next week." While I stood there in shock, Tyler cheerfully flipped through a guidebook, pondering what he'd eat. He was planning to go to Australia. Regaining my composure, I asked Tyler, "Why the sudden international trip? What about your job? And I don't even have a passport." Tyler seemed a bit annoyed with my questions. I got a bonus, so I thought I'd just go for it. I've already requested PTO from work and I'm not going with you, Jessica, so you don't need a passport, right? Tyler answered nonchalantly. I hadn't even had a proper honeymoon since we got married. Who are you going with? I asked. Even for day trips, Tyler would say it's a waste of money and never took me along. Now, this sudden international trip seemed suspicious. I stared intently at Tyler. I'm going with a guy from work. Now get dinner ready already, Tyler retorted. I realized it would be challenging to press him further. Tyler probably wouldn't answer me if I continued to ask and might even snap at me. Though I felt frustrated, I reluctantly started preparing dinner. That day, Tyler left for his trip early in the morning. By noon, I found myself frantically calling Tyler. What do you want? I'm about to board a plane for an international trip. Read the room, Tyler snapped as soon as he answered. My in-laws are in critical condition. Please cancel your trip and come home immediately. I pleaded with Tyler desperately. If he hadn't boarded the plane yet, there was still time, or so I thought. But Tyler's response was cold. I'm on vacation with my colleague. Handle it yourself. You're probably exaggerating anyway. I'm busy. Going to hang up now. Bye. Wait a second. I tried to reach out, but he hung up. No matter how many times I called back, he didn't answer. You'll regret this, I whispered to myself. 2 weeks later, Tyler walked in cheerfully carrying a large suitcase. I'm back, he said. I approached the unapologetic Tyler and said, both their funerals are over. What? Tyler looked puzzled as if he didn't understand. What do you mean by both their funerals? Are you playing some kind of sick joke? Tyler, clearly panicking, questioned me. I sighed deeply at Tyler's flustered demeanor. It's no joke. Don't you remember I called you 2 weeks ago telling you your parents were critically ill? I replied. But why all of a sudden? Tyler trailed off, unable to find the words. I found myself sitting on the floor. When I went to visit your parents, they both had collapsed with pale faces. I called an ambulance in a panic, but the doctor said they were both in critical condition. Your dad needed care for a while now, and your mom had been looking unwell recently. Just a series of unfortunate events, I guess, I explained to Tyler with a detached tone. I'm truly heartbroken that my in-laws ended up like this. I was visiting them almost every day and still couldn't save them in time. To this day, I regret not going to their place sooner. But right now, I'm just so angry at you, I said, my voice shaking with emotion. They were your real parents, yet you chose yourself over them until the very end. No matter how much I pleaded, you always prioritized yourself. Remembering the tired look on your mother's face just makes me even angrier. Tyler, with a grim face, remained silent. He probably can't come to terms with reality. I decided to press Tyler further. It's your fault, isn't it? Choosing a trip with your colleague over your own parents. Did you enjoy your vacation? I asked with a sly smile, but Tyler just stayed silent, so I decided to put a bit more. Well, I guess a trip with your lover is fun, right? 2 weeks seems a bit long though, I said. Tyler, as if resigning himself, began to talk. You knew. Yeah. I've been seeing Baker from work. She's over a decade younger than you, and she comforts me. It seemed Tyler was indeed cheating. His recent late nights were probably because of his affair with this Baker. As I stayed silent, Tyler, thinking I had accepted his confession, began to talk more. Baker is nothing like you. She has a slim figure, is beautiful, and she has a job. You're nothing compared to her, Tyler said, clearly proud of himself. Not caring at all, I responded nonchalantly. He seemed to forget he had asked me to become a stay-at-home wife after we got married. Then, as if he had an idea, Tyler made a suggestion. That's right. Now that my parents are gone and there's no one to oppose a divorce with you, and I can live here with Baker. So leave right now. I was flabbergasted by Tyler's words. Up to now, I've been a stay-at-home wife, always deferring to whatever Tyler said. I had no regular income of my own, and part of me lacked the confidence to move out and support myself. But after seeing Tyler prioritize a trip with his mistress over his critically ill parents, I didn't want to be with him anymore. Fine, I'll leave right now. Goodbye, and with that, I packed a minimum amount of stuff and left the house. A week later, I started staying at a budget motel. My husband Tyler called my cell. Hell, as soon as I picked up, Tyler jumped in. I can't find the checkbook at home. He sounded pretty panicked. However, I left all the statements under Tyler's name at the house. Of course, that includes the bank book where Tyler's salary gets deposited. The only checkbook I took is in my name. Did you check properly? As soon as I said that, Tyler shouted, "It's the checkbook in your name. That account had a pretty good amount of money, right? It's a joint property, so half of it's mine, isn't it?" After recklessly spending on trips and whatnot, I couldn't believe Tyler was now bringing up joint property. Holding back a heavy sigh, I calmly responded, "The money in that checkbook is from gifts I received from my family and savings from when I was single, so it doesn't count as joint property, you know?" Tyler, sounding frantic, replied, "That's a problem. I nearly spent all of my last month's salary and bonus on the overseas trip. I thought I could cover the shortfall in our living expenses by withdrawing from your account. Up until now, I kept my checkbook in a drawer where Tyler could easily see it. I had no intention of hiding it from Tyler, so he must have sneaked a peek at the balance. I've moved out, Tyler, so I have no idea about your living expenses. Maybe ask for an advance on your paycheck." I firmly declined Tyler's request. Then I added, just to give Tyler a heads up, "By the way, you might want to assume that there's hardly any inheritance from your parents. They were living on their pensions, and with the costs of your father's care, they were barely getting by. And you better clear out their rented apartment soon, or you'll be paying rent every month." My in-laws had been living in a rented apartment, barely making ends meet with the rent and the costs of caring for my father-in-law. My mother-in-law. Somehow, my mother-in-law managed to save and get by each month. I reckon she had her share of worries and stress. "You're kidding." Tyler sounded shocked over the phone, so I decided to give Tyler the final blow. "I have no responsibilities to help you out. You are on your own," I declared cheerfully. "Why?" Tyler's voice was full of disbelief. "Tyler is already struggling with money, and he's probably panicking. Moreover, he's lost my in-laws and has no one else to turn to. I've already lost my real parents. How can you be so heartless? Are you some kind of monster?" Tyler cried out, venting his frustrations at me. Despite having kicked me out with no income, he seemed to have forgotten that. I have no sympathy for Tyler, who's lost so much. It's all Tyler's fault, so I laughed and replied, "Well, you cheated. Don't expect me to help you out after what you have done." Hearing the word cheated, Tyler flinched. "I don't want to ask the company for help. If the company finds out about Baker and me, it'll be a disaster." Tyler's voice was shaky, but it was not my concern. "I don't even know the face of Baker. It's you and Baker who did wrong in the first place, right?" I challenged Tyler. "I hope they both lose their social credibility. I've got nothing left to lose. Whatever happens to them, it's none of my business. It's all my fault. Just help me out this time, please," Tyler pleaded with a voice full of desperation. "No way. You're going to regret this big time." I told him that and ended the call with Tyler. Tyler and I eventually got divorced. At first, Tyler was reluctant to agree to the divorce, mainly because of the financial issue, but in the end, he was persuaded by the lawyer I hired and signed the divorce papers. Tyler always acted arrogant in front of me and my in-laws, but was very submissive in front of others. He's the kind who's all bark and no bite. That's probably why Tyler couldn't stand up to a professional like the lawyer and ended up being told what to do. Our properties will be split equally, all thanks to my lawyer. Tyler had almost exhausted his savings on a trip abroad with Baker, so he was tight on cash. My lawyer guessed that Tyler would be very uncooperative, but in the end, I was pleased with the situation. Now, about what happened afterward, it seems Tyler is living paycheck to paycheck, having difficulty supporting himself. On top of that, he had additional expenses like cleaning out and paying rent for the rental apartment of my in-laws, and apparently, he got dumped by Baker. Initially, Baker was very ambitious and got close to Tyler for her own career advancement. After our divorce, the affair was exposed, and Tyler got demoted. It seems Baker got transferred to a remote branch. If Director Atkins is getting demoted, I don't need him anymore. Thanks for everything, that's what was said. And Tyler got dumped. Though Tyler got demoted, he didn't get transferred within the company, so he seems to be feeling out of place and uncomfortable now. Being dumped by Baker and all alone, Tyler has contacted me through my lawyer. "I messed up. I broke up with Baker, so I want another shot with you." That's what I heard through the attorney. Since I've already blocked Tyler's calls, it seems like his only option is to relay messages through the lawyer. Knowing Tyler's usually timid nature, the fact that he's pleading with a lawyer like this tells me he's really backed into a corner. On top of that, he's been saying things like, "I'm seriously out of money right now. Can you lend me some from your savings back when you were single?" making demands that don't benefit me in the slightest. Even the attorney seemed taken aback by this and related it to me with a chuckle. I guess Tyler's going to have a tough life from here on out. Frankly, I hope he continues to struggle and squirm. By the way, I got in touch with Baker through the lawyer, and she responded in a very respectful way. I was told through the lawyer that she said, when I was with Mr. Tyler, my expenses were quite low, so I had fun with his money. But it did not last long. Please tell her I deeply regret everything. It seems she was never really interested in Tyler, just his position. Tyler was head over heels for Baker, and to see him ruin his life over it is quite pitiful. Thinking of Tyler's misfortune made me smirk. Since then, I've decided to get back to work. Would you believe it? I took a part-time job at a convenience store. It's my first time in customer service, but it's surprisingly fun. I was initially worried about being on my feet all day, but once I started, time just flies and it's a blast. Beyond working the register, there's ordering products, frying snacks, and a lot more to convenience store work. I even get to use my housekeeping skills with the cleaning tasks. I've heard from the manager that if I work hard, I could become a permanent employee. Apparently, there have been others like me who made the transition. Being in my 50s is like being at the halfway point in life. Being divorced, I initially thought my future was bleak, but even at this age, I'm discovering new things and having a ball. I want to keep looking forward and keep on moving. That's how I feel right now.